CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Najahe Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Off the top, history in New York City. Pre-trial arguments and jury selection begin today in the Donald Trump hush money trial. It is the first ever criminal trial of a former U.S. president. CBS News Miami's Jared Hill reports from the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Jared.
Naja, so we are seeing the court now going through this jury selection process. One of the potential challenges could be who the defendant himself is, and the fact that he's someone that almost everyone knows and has an opinion about. Returning from a lunch break, a thumbs up from former President Trump as he began the second half of day one in his hush money trial. It's the first of 4 criminal trials the Republican presidential candidate faces. Earlier, he slammed at the proceedings, which could take more than 6 weeks.
This is really an attack on a political opponent. That's all it is.
Trump faces 34 felony counts, accused of falsifying business records to hide payments former fixer Michael Cohen made to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Trump has pleaded not guilty.
This is an assault on America.
Monday afternoon, the first batch of 96 potential jurors enter the courtroom. More than 500 Manhattan residents are there to be considered for the 12 spots. The lengthy juror questionnaire asks if they've ever attended a Trump rally or if they follow the former president on social media.
The defense is very interested in seeing if they can show that through the jury selection, that they can't really get people who might be quote unquote fair and impartial. They will continue to move for a change of venue.
Prosecutors asked the judge to hold Trump in contempt for allegedly violating his gag order with 4 social media posts attacking Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, both potential witnesses. Prosecutors want the posts removed and Trump to pay a fine. They've asked the judge to remind Trump that he could be jailed for further violations. The former president's defense claimed he was only responding to attacks, but the judge said he did not recall an exception to the gag order. All right, so talking about how challenging potentially getting through this jury pool might be, we have heard from our CBS reporting teams inside the courtroom that of the 96 potential jurors in this first batch that have already gone in, about 60 of them have already been dismissed for various reasons, but the vast majority because they said they could not be impartial. Back to you.
Jared, thank you for that live report.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
And taking a live look outside, it is a beautiful day across South Florida. It looks like it's going to stay that way for a while. Let's get right to Next Weather meteorologist Cindy Pressler. Cindy, welcome back. We missed you.
Oh, thank you so much, Naja. Beautiful weather this week across South Florida. If you've got things to do to get done outside, you got the great weather for it. We're not expecting much in the way of rainfall, maybe a shower by the end of the week. Other than that, high pressure, very dominant. It's going to stay right here. Warming trend kicks in and a breezy easterly wind. We had to watch for that today. We had a little brush fire that is still burning out here in parts of western Miami-Dade County. So the smoke from that this morning, because the winds were so light, were kind of drifting off to the east. Now that easterly wind has kicked in, so now those winds are pushing any smoke well off to the west. So it's over the Everglades at this point. So that fire, if it keeps going, is still going to produce some smoke yet into the nighttime hours. We'll see if that burns itself out by tomorrow. But high pressure is the reason for the great weather at this point, and it's going to stay strong from the Gulf of Mexico across the Florida Peninsula all the way out into the Atlantic Ocean. So there you go with that easterly flow. Dry air in place. Dew points sitting in the 50s right now. And you get dew points like that. That's some dry stuff out there. Look at all this dry air. Oh, just streaming in right across the area. So we're not looking for anything as far as rain or anything like that. Wind gusts today up to 22 miles per hour out of the east-northeast right now at 14 here in Miami. So it's an onshore flow. So a little bit of moisture trying to work its way in here by the time we get into Thursday and Friday, but even that You're not going to feel that sticky either. Dry conditions just so dominant at this point. So because of that little bit of moisture that tries to get in here, you might find a stray shower along the coastal areas. That won't even happen until we get into the end of the week and into the weekend. So here's your forecast. My goodness, all this sunshine out here. I couldn't even put a raindrop on here. 83 Tuesday, so that'll be warmer than today, sitting in the lower 80s. And by Thursday and Friday, now we're into the mid 80s. Winds starting to turn just a bit heading into the weekend, more of a southeasterly flow. Then in turn, that's going to push our temps up to 87 degrees. We're going to add 10% chance for a shower. I think we won't see anything really until we get into Monday night and Tuesday. Then maybe a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Other than that, dry and warm.
A shooting investigation is underway in Lauderdale Lakes. Police say an employee fired shots in a drive-thru before taking off. CBS News Miami's Ted Scouten is at the scene with what we know at this point.
Well, this was a relatively large scene stretching a couple of blocks. You can see that it has opened up. Oakland Park Boulevard had been closed for several hours this morning. You can take a look behind and see where the scene was. That's there at the Dunkin Donuts where that shooting happened outside. At one point it was pretty tense as deputies thought that the gunman was still inside the restaurant. The call came in around 8:30 this morning of a shooting here. DSO tells us it happened in the drive-thru, that the suspected gunman is actually an employee of the Dunkin Donuts. About 2 hours into this, SWAT went inside the restaurant to see if the gunman was still inside. They found no one. They tell us that they believe that he took off. They know who he is, but at this point, they're still trying to figure out what led to this.
This happened a few hours ago, so how why, how, all those questions about what led up to this incident is something that detectives are trying to figure out right now.
The person who was shot is being treated at a local hospital. We'll have the latest coming up at 5. In Lauderdale Lakes, Ted Scouten, CBS News Miami.
Up in smoke, crews keeping a close eye on what's left after a brush fire in West Miami-Dade. CBS News Miami's Peter Dinch has the report.
Miami-Dade Fire Rescue tells us there were actually 2 different brush fires. One was near 157th Avenue and Bird Road. That covered some 100 acres, and the last report was 90% contained. Right now, we are at Southwest 137th Avenue and 8th Street with smoky conditions. That fire is 45% contained. All this involved a massive effort. As many as 18 units were on the scene, and they have still yet to put out all of the hot spots. The fire burned 170 acres here, and an easterly wind blew smoke inland. To protect nearby structures, the fire was upgraded to a second alarm, and air rescue even dropped water. This is video posted by Fire Rescue on social media. We saw crews along the road looking for hot spots, and this is a look from above from our drone. Fire Rescue was working closely with the Florida Forest Service. There were some very smoky conditions during the morning rush hour, but that situation has improved dramatically with roads reopening. Fortunately, no serious injuries were reported. It's not clear at this point, though, what caused both of these brush fires. We'll have much more on this story coming up live at 5. We are in Southwest Miami-Dade. Peter Dinch, CBS News, Miami.
The coast is clear. Traffic is flowing if you're leaving Key Biscayne and getting off the Rickenbacker Causeway, but you should expect some delays. CBS News Miami's Joan Murray takes us there.
So over my shoulder, you can see the flyover that was shut down on Sunday, and this caused a mountain of trouble for drivers trying to leave Key Biscayne because they are the major ways out. The flyover leads to either I-95 north or US 1 south. People couldn't go that way. Instead, the only other way was to come through the traffic light. That caused a backup of traffic all the way to the state park. We spoke to residents who were frustrated that this happened.
And it's a mess, really a mess. It's not fair for the people that we live here, and also the people that comes and visit the beaches on the weekends. Yesterday was stuck, totally stuck. And one thing, one of my friends, we have a chat of Mexican people. I mean, we are Americans, but we come from Mexico, and they had a problem with the child that fell down and couldn't go out.
Key Biscayne officials, the county, everybody is looking at this problem, including the Department of Transportation. We'll tell you about the solutions coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. In Miami, Joan Murray, CBS News Miami.
Israel says it will respond to this weekend's drone and missile attack from Iran. But the Biden administration is pushing Israel to make a diplomatic response. CBS News Miami's Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
President Biden praised the U.S. military's role in thwarting an Iranian attack on Israel over the weekend.
We mounted an unprecedented military effort to defend Israel. Together with our partners, we defeated that attack.
Israel's war cabinet met again Monday as they weighed their response to Iran. The Biden administration is saying it's up to the Israelis while calling for restraint.
In the 36 hours since, we have been coordinating a diplomatic response to seek to prevent escalation.
President Biden says the U.S. will continue to provide defensive support to Israel, but he raised concerns about escalating tension in the Middle East. It's already high because of the Israel-Hamas war.
We're committed to a ceasefire that will bring the hostages home and preventing conflict from spreading beyond what it already has.
Israel continues to launch airstrikes on the southern Gaza city of Rafah ahead of what is expected to be a ground invasion. The U.S. has objected to an invasion of Rafah because more than 1 million Palestinian refugees are currently sheltering in the city. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
It is tax day. What you need to know if you're not ready to file just yet when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Police in Sydney, Australia confirmed a 15-year-old has been arrested. The suspect stabbed a bishop inside a church. It happened during a televised religious service. A video on social media showed the attacker approaching the bishop, then repeatedly stabbing him in the head and upper body. Members of the congregation rushed to the bishop's aid. At least 3 others were hurt. No word on a motive for that attack. Happening today, it's tax day. You have just hours left to file a return, request an extension, or pay a fee. It is possible to request an automatic 6-month extension for free. It's through an IRS partner on the agency's website. The deadline for that is today, and it involves paying estimated taxes. For those of you finishing up things today, experts urge taxpayers to enter information correctly. That's the CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Najahe Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami, and have a wonderful day.